Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? Grab your coffee, maybe a snack or two, and let's get into it. So, what we're going to be talking about today is something that a community member had sent in, okay? You see this? It says, "Holy cow, Arkansas is the first state in the nation to force a Chinese state-owned company to give up its American land." This is true. And I did some digging, okay? Arkansas did become the first state to enforce a law forcing a Chinese-owned company to divest itself of agricultural land. And this action was taken under Act 636 of 2023, which prohibits certain foreign-controlled businesses from owning land in the state. The Chinese government-owned company, it's called Syngenta, and that's Syngenta Seeds, was ordered to sell its 160 acres of land in Craighead County. And this order was the first enforcement action of a state foreign ownership land law in the U.S. So I dove deeper into this, okay? Governor Sanders said that China is a hostile foreign adversary. And under my administration, we will follow the law and not allow companies controlled by the CCP to buy up and exploit Arkansas land. So the Department of Agriculture discovered that two companies, it's called Rise Ever Machinery LLC in Craighead County and Jones Digital LLC near the city of DeWitt, may have significant ties to China. Jones Digital LLC may also have significant ownership interest in digital asset and crypto mining operations in other parts of the state under different names. So in October of 2023, Governor Sanders became the first governor in the country to kick Chinese state-owned companies off of American farmland. And her administration is forcing this Syngenta to sell its land in Craighead County and receive a $280,000 fine from the company. So during the 2023 regular session of the Arkansas General Assembly, the state legislature passed Act 636, which amends the law concerning ownership and possession of real property. The law had an effective date of August 1st, 2023. And Act 636 provides that a prohibited foreign party controls business, shall not acquire by grant, by purchase, by device, by descent, or otherwise any interest in public or private land in this state. So in accordance with Act 636, the Arkansas Department of Agriculture is directed to collect and analyze information concerning the unlawful sale or possession of agricultural land by prohibited foreign parties and report violations to the Arkansas Attorney General. Since the passage of Act 636, one entity that has become the main attention, I guess you could say, of the Department of Rise Ever Machinery LLC, which has a facility in Craighead County. A review of Rise Ever Machinery LLC is the ownership indicates that the entity has significant ties to China. Yeah. So I implore you guys, okay, to do your own digging for the state that you live in. Okay, do your research and find out if there's any Chinese companies that own any land, any farmland or anything like that in the state in which you reside, and let me know. And then I'll do some digging and find out if, your governors or anything like that are going to be forcing them to sell the farmland in which they have purchased illegally. Because, every state should have some kind of an act like this 636. I know here in Florida, we have something similar to Act 636. So, I'm wondering if, the states in which you guys reside in have something similar as well. All right, guys, I will leave you now with these very good videos that were sent in by community members. All right, you guys stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping, and as always, fear less and God bless. Ciao.
I just learned that there are block-long protests outside of the movie theater showing October 8 in Houston. Why is this happening? Well, because the film exposes the entire propaganda machine behind the Free Palestine movement. It's exactly what they don't want you to see. They have been working behind the scenes to infiltrate our media, our politics, and our college campuses. And this is what the film exposes. What can we do? Tell everyone you know to see October 8. It's in theaters, extended for another week. And the best thing we could do is to expose the brainwashing that is going on our college campuses and the giant machine and campaign behind it.
Is it true that the hotline, the direct line between the Pentagon Air Traffic Control and the DCA tower, has been inoperable since March of 2022?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Really some startling information from the FAA saying that a critical hotline that goes between the FAA and the Pentagon, that hotline to coordinate airspace, chopper, plane activity, that hotline has been out of commission for 3 years. As you probably know, in January of this year, we had the mid-air crash involving an Army helicopter slamming into an American Airlines regional jet, 67 people killed. The Army suspended helicopter flights and then started them up just in the last few weeks, but then immediately another close call with an Army chopper deviating from its flight plan, forcing some passenger jets to do a go-around. And now word that the FAA says that hotline with the Pentagon has been down for 3 years and nobody apparently realized it. And now the FAA says they will not allow a resumption of Army chopper flights until the hotline is in fact back in place.
Do you have a timeline for when that line will be operational?
To be honest with you, Senator, I would expect the DOD to expedite that timeline so they can begin their operations.
Fox to reveal what's really going on. Doge exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now here's the story. Doge has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. They just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, Doge says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. Doge also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and Doge says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying. He's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
Silver iodide, silver dioxide, aluminum barium, strontium, cadmium, polymers, microplastics, and black coal. These are released as nanoparticles that are easily inhaled. I acknowledge we don't understand the full health ramifications of this activity, although I would submit respectfully, it cannot be good. But I would also acknowledge that this is an attempt to alter the environment. There's no question about it. I sent several pictures to Senator Garcia's aide. I've sent photographs to images to Representative Steele. Representative Steele showed me extensive images that he's observed from his farmland, his acreage in Pasco County. There is no question these are not jet aircraft flying commercial flights. These are airplanes flying and injecting aerosols into the sky in an attempt to, as Mr. Gates referred to it, Bill Gates, as I recall, dim the sun. It's an attempt at sun dimming. I would urge the Senate committee, I respectfully appreciate the chairman for hearing the bill. And I worked in the Senate a long time ago. I appreciate that. And I would urge the committee to approve the bill. I would recommend, I hope Senator Garcia will consider increasing the criminal penalty to a felony. If a pilot knows it's a felony before he goes into the sky or she and disperses these chemicals, that pilot will think twice.
By the way, would you like to offer an apology here to Brenda Lawson and Trudy Rickard for the ordeal they went through? I want to address Kroger's workforce practices and specifically how you accommodate or how you treat requests for accommodation. Let's suppose hypothetically that Kroger had a vegan worker with strong ethical beliefs about animal welfare. If she requested to work outside, say, the butcher department and instead in the produce department, would Kroger accommodate that request?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. And it's one of the nice things about one of our retail stores. There's many different areas, and we routinely have people transferring between departments. Some of that is just personal interest. Some of that is to grow in their own personal career. And if you look at our store directors, 70% of our store directors started out as an hourly associate. So it's easy to accommodate somebody, and that accommodation is really based on their own desires and their own interests.
Would you make such accommodations based on their Christian beliefs as well?
We would not get involved in terms of religious beliefs.
Okay, the reason I ask is that you recently agreed to pay $180,000 to settle a religious discrimination case in Conway, Arkansas. In that case, 2 Kroger employees, Brenda Lawson, age 72, and Trudy Rickard, age 57, declined the directive to begin wearing a new store apron with a multicolored heart symbol on it. They, like many other of your employees, felt uncomfortable with the new aprons because they thought the heart resembled a gay pride symbol. Rather than make accommodations, Kroger fired these 2 employees. One employee simply asked to cover the symbol with a name tag, but Kroger refused even that reasonable accommodation. Are you aware of these terminations, Mr. McMullen?
Senator, I am not.
This was not a private lawsuit either by 2 disgruntled employees, Mr. Mullen. This was brought by the EEOC. So are you not aware when your company is sued for religious discrimination by the United States government?
No, sir, I am not. Not always.
Well, I'm disappointed by that. Are you aware that, Mr. McMullen, are you aware that Kroger has something called an allyship guide for its employees?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. In the allyship guide, you direct employees to stop using sir and ma'am because they're not inclusive. Do you expect 72-year-old employees in rural areas of Arkansas to really stop using words like sir and ma'am?
If you look at our allyship guide overall, it's trying to support our associates and going forward and trying to be inclusive for everybody with all different beliefs. And when you look at our associate resource group, our associate resource groups were created several years ago for people with different types of interests. And we think it's incredibly important to be an inclusive, opening culture to welcome all associates.
If employees in your stores in rural Arkansas refer to other employees or customers as sir or ma'am, do they face disciplinary action?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. I would have to ask.
Are you still requiring employees to wear the apron with the rainbow heart symbol on it?
Yeah, if you look at this, we put in place an apron several years ago because our associates wanted to have a common dress code. The heart is a symbol of art. The Kroger's fundamental purpose is to feed the human spirit. And part of feeding the human spirit is the heart. And that heart is our fundamental strategy to support our purpose. The colors were not tied to any specific thing.
Well, I'm not sure I believe that because it was introduced during Pride Month as a supposed sign of inclusivity, and a federal judge didn't agree with it either. That's why he rejected your company's motion for summary judgment, and you just paid $180,000 to two employees that you wrongly terminated. By the way, would you like to offer an apology here to Brenda Lawson and Trudy Rickard for the ordeal they went through?
I would need to understand more of the details, Senator. Thank you.
Okay. So is it the case that you are still requiring all employees without accommodation to wear this apron with the rainbow heart?
If you look at our apron would be required for all associates to wear consistently across the company.
Does it or does it not still include the symbol for which you just paid $180,000 to settle an EEOC lawsuit against your company?
It would include a heart on it, Senator.
And having settled that lawsuit, are you now going to grant accommodations to employees who don't wish to display a symbol that they may perceive as not aligned with their moral and Christian views?
Senator, I will thank you for the question. I will need to follow back up with our team with more of the details.
If this merger goes through, who's going to be making decisions about uniforms in the combined company and whether to grant reasonable accommodations?
If you look in terms of our fundamental uniform that was put in place, our associate resource groups work together in terms of designing the uniform, and we would use the same type of approach on a combined company basis.
Okay. This situation reminds me a little bit of the situation big tech companies have found themselves in recent years. They've come to Washington because they fear regulation from our Democratic friends or action by the Biden administration, and they expect Republicans, who are traditionally more supportive of free enterprise, to come to their defense. And I've cautioned them for years that if they silence conservatives and center-right voters across the country, if they discriminate against them in their company, they probably shouldn't come and ask Republican senators to carry the water for them whenever our Democratic friends want to regulate them or block their mergers. So I've heard a lot of questioning about that today, and I've read a lot about it in the news. And I'll say this: I'm sorry that's happening to you. Best of luck.